Hey there. Time to go live. Just want to get some, update on what's going on with the approaching line that is back to our west. And I know a lot of people are a little concerned about it. You're watching 270 weather for the 270 area code and beyond. I'm Chris Allen here with you tonight to break down what's happening because we've got some active weather, some to our west. I'm still looking at pretty much what I said last night, not looking at anything that's going to be, I think, too serious for us. It looks like things are going to wind down as we get into the night. And I know I'm not looking at you, I'm looking at my updates here. Just seeing if there's anything new that I need to be concerned about. I'm, talking to the National Weather Service offices in different places, Nashville, Louisville, Paducah. I can talk to all of them directly. And right now, it doesn't appear that it's anything too serious. The number one thing that we really have to pay attention to tonight is going to be the potential for damaging wind. I don't think there's not that big of a tornado threat, even though the lines have been moved from where the marginal risk was set up earlier. We were taken out of it last night, and then we were put back in it today. So it's this kind of a seesaw back and forth. But really, the National Weather Service, in conjunction with coordination with other weather service offices around this part of the country, things change. And so, it's kind of like if you were to see a car accident, 10, 15 people, everybody's going to have a piece of the puzzle, a piece of the story. And in forecasting, it's kind of the same thing. Here's the thing that's going to happen, but there are different pieces of that story that have to be put together. So when the police are like, what did you see? What did you hear? Did you see what happened? This person tells this story. It's not that one is telling a lie or anything like that. It's just everybody has a different piece of the puzzle. And so when the Weather Service office is trying to put down to you and present to you what's going to happen, and when we present those things to you, we have to look at all those little pieces of the story and figure out, some of them are a head scratcher, how this is going to play out. And that's where we are. That's where we are. So let's get to it. I want to get to it and not waste any time. And the first thing I'm going to do is go straight to radar and what's happening. So here is the radar as of we're almost right at 7 o'clock. And some people will be probably joining us. This is why I sometimes start a few minutes before 7, because I want to get live, and then kind of set the table, if you will, for the rest of the podcast. So we'll spend a few minutes here, and thank you for joining us tonight. There have been some tornadoes today that were up in Illinois. And let me zoom this out. Now, what I've got on here, the layers I have on, first of all, is the severe weather outlook. You can see that, and I'll turn off the radar. You can see that we were put, and when I say we, I'm talking about places like Litchfield, Bowling Green, Brownsville, Horse Cave, Russellville, Morgantown. All of these locations were put back into that darker green, which is a level 1 marginal risk. Okay. So the level 1 marginal risk put us in that area where we have a concern for damaging wind threat. And as it says here, um, down at the bottom, a tornado or two can't be ruled out. So that is the takeaway. And I posted something earlier today that might be an issue for some. And, that's still an issue. But I can tell you that it appears that this line, let me put it back on, is beginning to weaken, although, where we got this slight risk, this is a level 2 slight risk area that's up toward places like Sturgis, Kentucky, Seabury, Henderson, Owensboro, Evansville. Yeah, the line is still fairly healthy as we look at it here from the Paducah radar. So this is live here at 7:01 p.m. Let's go to the Gauge camera that's in far western Kentucky, and I can show you what's going on. And look at the rain. Current temperature has fallen. Now, when I looked at this camera about an hour ago, it was like 74, I think. Now it's 57 with winds gusty, 14 miles per hour, but they've seen some higher gust. The lightning flashes have come down. You can see the rain hitting the camera there. And again, this is in a community called Gage, Kentucky. It's in the far western part of the state. So it looks like they're just getting strong winds and some pretty hefty wind-driven rain there in Gage. But here's the bigger story. Besides the winds that you see here at 26 with some higher gusts, the temperature is falling rapidly. It's 57 right now after being in the low to mid 70s earlier. So that's right along that line. Now, there are a couple of places that are beginning to see, like here, Henderson, Kentucky. You're under, there's a tornado watch, by the way, that takes in some of the counties all the way over to about Davis County and Hopkins County. It gets close and this tornado watch is going to expire in about 2 hours. So that would be 9 o'clock. There's also a wind advisory, but the bigger story is the tornado watch. And there is a new tornado warning now. And this is going to be for central Henderson County, and it's until 7:30 Central Time. So this is radar indicated rotation enough to maybe produce a tornado over Corydon. All right, 8 miles northeast of Breckenridge Center, moving east at 60. So it's moving really fast. And as it says here, radar indicated rotation. It looks like it's going to be near Henderson. That's right on the Ohio River, just a little south of Evansville, around 7:10. So here in about 6 minutes from now. Other locations would include Hebbardsville, and this will affect Interstate 69 between mile markers 140 and 148 and the Audubon. As you're heading, you go south from Henderson, and then you can hit the Audubon and take it over to Owensboro. So the Audubon Parkway, right at the beginning of it, mile marker 1 up to about 15. So this is radar indicated tornado. Nothing that is indicating that it's an actual tornado, but there's enough little spin there with that particular cell that's happening. Now I turned off the outlook so we can see this is where the tornado watch, as you can see, is in effect. The rest of us are under a wind advisory, no tornado watch here. Now, I know your question would be, and I've seen a few of you ask, is there going to be a tornado watch for like the Bowling Green area this far east? That's questionable. And the actually the Storm Prediction Center right now and Weather Service offices are taking a look at that, whether they're going to issue a watch. But here's the thing: a couple of things are in our favor. This line is beginning to weaken. Number two, there hasn't been much in the way of added instability today, or actually within the last few hours. And number three, it's now past sunset. So those three things are playing in our favor. That doesn't mean it's still not going to be very windy when this line comes through. And I'm looking at the line to come through just after 9 o'clock. That's the timing now for, I would say, for I-65, which is right here. And I think it's just going to come in here and blow around pretty good. I'm going to put a 9 here. And the time may be just a little bit off. But this thing is booking at 60 miles per hour. So given that it's right now coming through Paducah, but it's got that lean, it's got that forward lean to it, give it 2 hours, and I think it'll be here or be close to the Bowling Green area. Some of you might not see it until maybe after 10 o'clock. But that's where it is right now. I want to put this into motion so you can see here at 7:07 how this system is moving through. It's loading up the images now, and we'll be able to see this line. You see, there's only very few right up here. There's only very few lightning strikes. Around Paducah, no lightning strikes. So the tail end of this system is showing signs of weakening. So that's a good thing. Let's hope that that trend continues. If it does continue, then I think we'll be in good shape. Even though there's a, tornado warning up there around the Henderson area, I'm not seeing any new. There's one severe thunderstorm warning that expires in 21 minutes. That one is for southern Massac County and southern Illinois, southeastern Ballard County and western Kentucky, and McCracken County. That's the Paducah area until 7:30. So you have that a severe thunderstorm warning, but there's no lightning. So it's not really, or technically, a thunderstorm. It is just wind-driven rain, and some of the wind may exceed 58 miles per hour, which is the threshold for a severe thunderstorm. So there's no other type of warning that's been done that says gusty shower warning. There's no such thing. So they just use the severe thunderstorm terminology to see, just exactly what's going on. I want to try to get a different look here. Hold on. Let me try this. Yeah, there are my radars. Okay, there we go. Okay, now we've got an updated, here is Paducah live scan. And I'm going to turn off the warnings just for a moment so we can really see the radar, okay? And this gives you a better view of the way the storms look, or this line looks, as it's moving through places like Clinton, Kentucky, Fancy Farm is just about to move in there. Communities like Loveless and Reedland and Lone Oak. It's now right over the city of Paducah. Now, there are these, I noticed some of these places where you've got a little bowing out here and maybe these little kinks. It's in those places where if something's going to happen, it's going to be along that line, the very beginning of the line. And that's where the gustiest or the strongest of the winds could be. I'll go from this to velocity, and this should help tell the story a little bit more. Now, the velocity is pretty close to the radar. This image, but you can see even there, you've got these places where it's kind of bright. See that? And then you got one right there and right there. Really, all of what this means is that's um, directional wind that is coming down to the ground and pushing out, and that's more likely to produce straight line wind damage. Um, through radar interpretation, at least that's what I'm looking at. Now, let me do something. I always do a contrast and compare because I like to see if there's something else that we need to pay attention to. So I'll start to go to Hopkinsville. Let's go up here to the Evansville radar, or just outside of Evansville. There it is, KVWX. And you can see there's a fairly tight line, but it gets a little scrambled once it gets as far south as Paducah. So I will go to the Hopkinsville Fort Campbell radar. And this again is velocity. And I am not seeing anything here that would indicate that where the green meets up with some of this red, you can almost see it's just a little bit, it's a muted red, but that's the gust front right there that's now moving just east of Paducah. I don't see anything. If I saw some bright green against a bright red against a bright green, then I would be concerned. Then I would be like, okay, the tail end of this front is very potent and it is likely to produce severe weather. But I'm not seeing that. Now, once you get up here to Sturgis, places like that, it does give the appearance. But again, you got to remember this is the radar looking at a tilt, 5-degree tilt from Hopkinsville all the way up to Sturgis and Morganfield and Corydon. And that's, going to give you, some really overshoot of the actual storm. Although I will tell you this, and I'll show you this. This is probably the reason for the tornado warning just outside of Corydon. You see the bright green against the bright red. There's another one up here in Henderson, although it looks pretty broad. And along that line, there are these little places where you can see the green right up against the red. There is a lot more energy here for a tornado, way north of us. Now, that line is moving toward Owensboro, but even there, the line will be weakening as it moves east. So that's still good news. And I would say some of these tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings may just go away or be, reduced as we get into the next couple of hours. That's just showing you how the line is coming in there. That's 5 scans put together as one. Let's go back to, that's the line as it looks right now. Okay. put it into motion once again so you can see how it's all moving east. And notice if you pay attention to how many, I know it's kind of going fast, but if you can pay attention to the little lightning strikes, you notice there's not as many further south, the further south you go. And look how this line is just, it's not as potent as it is to the north. Let me go to the Paducah radar, and I'll put that one into motion. Let's see if we get something different. Of course, now we're up against the radar or where the radar is located, and everything is really detailed. And yeah, I do see down at the bottom here as the line moves into northwest Tennessee, up near Dyersburg and Union City, Tiptonville, it's weakening. There's even, I can see a little bit of weakening on the southern edge here as that line comes through. And this part of the line is what's going to move into Bowling Green in the next couple of hours. So just looking at this and doing some radar interpretation, I just don't think that we're going to experience anything more than just some high wind gusts as this system comes in. This is the radar out of Nashville that I normally show you, and it's just, again, it's overshooting. The curvature of the earth is right here. Here's Nashville at my elbow, and here's Bowling Green up here. So when the beam goes up, it's going to overshoot what's actually happening on the ground. Radar is good, but you got to know how to interpret it because not everything you see is what you think. And that's why we do this. This is why I explain it to you, because it's going to be one of those situations where it's kind of touch and go. But as far as spinning up tornadoes and things like that, the threat of that, or the percentage of probability of that happening, is very, very low. This is, and let me let some of you off the hook. This is not going to be one of those up all night type situations where you pace the floor. And, I know some of you think about December 2021, and rightly so, because it is warm and it's December. And a lot of us have those memories, and will always have those memories of what happened. But this is not that. This is not one of those situations where just all of a sudden, as it gets close to Bowling Green, it's going to get really strong and start spinning a bunch of tornadoes. That's not going to happen. If anything, this is going to weaken. Now, the front does have some lift to it, and it's got some momentum, but the instability is lacking. There was a little bit before it came into Kentucky. There's enough of a push with the cold front that it could produce a couple of severe thunderstorms. But as far as this producing a lot of tornadoes, I just don't see that happening tonight. But I'm going to keep an eye on it anyway. Okay, let's go to, let's see. Oh, sorry about that. I didn't mean to do that. All right. It kind of moved on me, and that was my fault. Sorry about that. Let's look at, I know some of you are putting up some comments, and I want to get to a few of those before I move forward and tell you the next part of this system. The next part of this storm is the big crash in temperature, because tomorrow is going to feel so different than today and right now. Melissa Dawn Crawford, I mean, the weather's kind of up in the air at this point. We never know. Yeah, we never know, but we try to see what's happening at the moment and make a determination of what we think is going to happen next. And that's why we do what we do. I'm not seeing any new tornado warnings, which is good. The tornado warning that was up near the Henderson area is now a severe thunderstorm warning. And we have some severe thunderstorm warnings now outside of Paducah for Mayfield, Benton, and Murray, Kentucky, but uh, I don't see any tornado warnings. Now, the dark red shade here, parts of Davis, McLean, Hopkins, Muhlenberg. No, not Muhlenberg. That would be, I lost my bearings there. Okay. That would be back where Princeton, Kentucky is. But anyway, so that's a tornado watch. And we have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings, but we don't have, at the moment, any tornado warnings, just a tornado watch. Let's see. Here is Chris Ackerman. Surely that'll track northeast to Bowling Green. Well, maybe the worst of it, but this line is going to come through Bowling Green. And anybody that lives between Paducah and Bowling Green, you're all going to experience this front coming through in the next 2 hours or so. And it is going to produce some very gusty winds. So you could have, with winds in excess of 45, 55 miles per hour, potentially up to 60, you could have some wind damage, minor, like shingles off your roof. You could have power outages. Yeah. I mean, it's, tree limbs down when you get up in the morning in the cold air and try to, go to work. You could see that when you get home, you're going to have to pick up some tree limbs. But that's about the extent of it. Cindy Hopper, will they weaken as they move toward Bowling Green? The expectation is they will. That's the way it looks. Let me look at a few more here as you look at the radar. Yeah, so a lot of you asking, will these storms weaken or that line weaken as it moves east? Now, some of you are asking about individual towns. I make it a practice to not name individual towns unless they're under a warning and the line is moving through those particular towns. If you're out east of Bowling Green, if you're anywhere, let me do this because I'd be answering questions all night. So if you live anywhere east of this line, anywhere, you will experience this line to come through in the next 2 hours. So if you know where you live, you're going to get it. You're going to get the line. And this is going to be like what? What happened on, I think it was like the 18th or 19th, a couple of weeks ago, when we had the same kind of setup. We had a couple of warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings, and maybe even one or two tornado warnings that didn't really amount to much for us anyway. And the line blew through pretty quickly. The winds really howled for a few minutes and then it was over. This is what's going to happen tonight. And let me show you something else. Let me show you temperatures. And I want to show you the contrast that's going on right now with temperatures. Now look, Look at all ahead of the front: 70, 70, 71, 71, 72. You get the idea. This is the front. Look behind it: 56, 54, 41, 31, 28. Now that's back in Missouri. But I mean, look: 60s, 50s, 40s, 30s, 20s. And if you're wondering, yes, all of this is coming right our direction. By, say, 5, 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, it is going to feel about 40 to 50 degrees colder. I kid you not, especially with the wind still kind of breezy and wind chills in the teens and 20s. And tomorrow, some of you will struggle to even reach 30. There will be some of you just upper 20s tomorrow. And then we fall to about 20 or upper teens for actual lows, not wind chill, but actual low temperatures tomorrow night. That's going to happen. So that's what this front is doing. It is powerful in that sense. But as far as spinning a bunch of tornadoes, I do not see that happening. You've got a few of these little severe thunderstorm warnings back here, and there may be some more along this line as it moves in toward Livermore and Calhoun and Madisonville and down to Princeton. But I do think this line will weaken enough, not completely, but weaken enough by the time it gets to I-65 and the Bowling Green area and east, that it's just a line of very gusty showers and nothing more. All right. Now, I need to move on, and I'll do that right now. Let's go to the Kentucky Mesonet Network, and I can show you some numbers that are really crazy. Okay, current temperatures here at 728, upper 60s, low 70s. Now, I'll show you high temperatures for today, and some of these were a record. 74 here, Warren County, 74, 73, you get the idea. Lots of 70s. Some of those were the warmest it's been on this date. Low temperature only in the 60s. How much rain? Well, the rain has been back west of us. So now they're getting the rain. Looks like Ballard County, as it moves through Paducah, is getting about a quarter inch of rain. But we'll see maybe a tenth to a quarter inch of rain as that line comes through tonight here in the Bowling Green area, here in the next few hours. The wind, though, is the big story. These are sustained winds. In other words, the wind without a gust is blowing steadily from the south and west at 18 to 20 miles per hour. And look what's happening back in western Kentucky when the line moves through. You see these arrows changing direction from southwest to west to northwest. The cold front is right in there. And look what happens to the winds behind it. They're still gusty or breezy, but they calm down a bit. Here are the gusts currently to 24 back in western Kentucky. Here, look at that wind gust of 40 in Todd County just now. In Elkton, now it's gone down to 31 with that real-time update from the Kentucky Mesonet Network at Western Kentucky University. I love it because you can see when this graphic flashes, that's an update. That's a real-time update. But you see some of the gusts now from the southwest at 20, 25, 30 or more miles per hour. And we saw at least 140, 40 mile per hour gust there in Todd County. But here's your cold front. That's where the winds are changing direction with the cold frontal arrival. Peak gusts for these areas today. Whoa, look at that. A 46 mile per hour gust happened today in Mayfield. Wow. Around here, highest peak wind gusts were in the 30s. All right. Good data from the Kentucky Mesonet Network. Now we go to the map, and this is the current map with the cold front, and we know now that the front is actually coming right through Paducah and far western Kentucky, and in a couple of hours, it'll be right over the Bowling Green area. Now, they have a red zone up here in parts of Indiana and on up toward northern Indiana and right through the central part of the state, 65, I-65, pretty much. But anyway, here comes our cold front with the rain and the strong winds. And as you can see, the winds turn from the north and become colder behind that front. Let's go a few hours ahead and go to midnight. By midnight, most of the rain and any kind of storms and the cold front will be east of us because this thing is moving at about 60 miles per hour. It has a lot of forward motion. And so it's not going to sit here and just keep on cranking out bad weather. But behind it, there's very cold air, as I showed you already. Lots of cold air, lots of 20s and 30s showing up back here in southern Illinois and Missouri. That's the cold air that's coming in overnight. And you're asking, snow? Is there going to be snow? Well, here's 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, a very breezy northwest wind. And somebody somewhere, primarily east of us, may see a few flurries. But the chance of this happening now has gone down because most of the moisture is going to be gone and out to our east. This is noon tomorrow. In the upper flow, there's still a little piece of energy, and there it is, dropping out of Lake Michigan and headed south. That, once it swings through the upper flow, could produce a few flyby flurries, but not much more than that. You'd be lucky to see them here in southern Kentucky, Bowling Green. Most of this would be north and east if it happens. Here is 6 p.m. Monday night, and not much going on. The winds begin to die down, but it's going to be cold, really cold. Here's 6 a.m. Tuesday morning. Notice what happens. We've got the north wind still, but high pressure will be over the Texas-Oklahoma border, and it's going to move east. When high pressure moves east, then we start to get a more southwesterly wind flow. So as we get into Tuesday, we're actually going to warm it up into the maybe mid-30s. But by Wednesday, we're actually going to warm up into the 40s. But here's another low-pressure system. That system is really just going to fizzle. Winds will still be kind of from the north and west Wednesday morning. We get into Thursday. Here comes another front. Now, this is actually New Year's Day. January 1st, this Thursday. Little front here, another clipper that comes in with limited moisture, but it could produce a few snowflakes. For us, I don't think it's going to do much of anything at all. Again, a flyby flurry is possible. So if you're making plans for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, it's just going to be cold and somebody might get a flurry. High pressure builds back in for Friday. Some shower activity to the south because by this time we're warming up into the mid and upper 40s. Rain showers on Saturday, and then they're gone by next Sunday, a week from today. But notice, here comes another little clipper system that just falls apart. We're gonna continue in the upper flow to see these little clipper systems just kind of run by us. Most of them will be dry, but some of them will have a little bit of moisture with them, enough to produce some light rain, depending on temperature, maybe even some light snow, as you see the maps reset. All right. Now, let's take a look next at I want to get some more of your comments in. Here is T. Adams. Hello from Hendersonville. Well, thank you for watching from Hendersonville. I'm from White House. Not too far from you. Yeah. Let's see. Will the storms be wearing? I think you meant weakening before hitting Round Hill, Cindy. Let's hope so. I cannot make that guarantee. And it's not going to be an all-night thing. For those of you just joining me, this is not going to be an all-night, pace the floor kind of a thing. All right? Let's see. Tornado, people asking, what about this county? What about that town? All the towns in southern Kentucky around the Bowling Green area, you're just going to get a lot of wind and a lot of rain. Okay. I'm just going through. I got to look at some of these comments and make sure somebody's, I want to see if there's comments, fine. If there are questions, like, I don't understand what you mean when you say this. Those are the comments I'm looking for. And I've explained how this is going to play out. So I've answered that question. All right, here's a good example. Oop, it's covering my face, but that's okay. David, what mile per hour gust do you think we can expect when the line approaches Bowling Green tonight? Well, the potential is for winds of 40, 45, or even 50 or higher. It's a possibility. Still, even though the line weakens, I still think we could have enough to produce a little bit of minor wind damage, which would be trees, tree branch. If you've got a trash can outside, trampoline, Christmas decorations that you've not taken down yet. Those are the kind of things that can, still be tossed around. And I do think there could be a few power outages. It's just, that's the behavior, if you will, of this system. All right, let's move on. I want to go to the European model, and we can watch our low. And as I showed you the last couple of nights, if you've been watching, this low deepening and strengthening, but we are way south of the low, which is good. That's a good thing for us, which means maybe the result of this system is not going to be as bad. Here it is. This is right now. Then going to 968 millibar and moving through Michigan. Here comes our line. And there's your time. And the European model's pretty much on it. Looks like it's going to be around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, maybe even sooner in some cases. Here we go close to midnight. The line will be east of us, and here comes the cold air. Look at that. And look at the winds. Oh, my goodness. Tight gradient. Tight. So lots of wind and cold. Here we are Monday morning. Cold all the way down into the Tennessee Valley. And then we get into Tuesday, chilly. We're going to move to Wednesday. This is New Year's Day. Another chilly day. But here comes in the upper flow a little piece of energy, little disturbance, if you will, that's going to try to work its way in. And I showed you that little chance of some light snow maybe on New Year's Day. But I still think mostly for northern Kentucky at this point, but it could change. Temperatures here in the model blender, look at them go up. 32 tomorrow, 20 tomorrow night, 34 for Tuesday. Here's New Year's Day. We warm up to 45. And then, I'm sorry, that's New Year's Eve. Here's New Year's Day, 43 and 25. If you're going to be out New Year's Eve night toward midnight, you're going to have lows in the mid-20s. But the rest, for the first week of the new year, we're going to be where we're supposed to be for high temperatures, which is in the mid-40s. We do warm up a little bit by the following Monday, and then we stay in the 40s after that. And I just realized there's something I haven't shown you yet, which today was significant in that we had a new record high set, 76 degrees. Record high of 76 today here at the Bowling Green Airport where they do the official measurement for high temperature. This is a new record. The old record was set at 72 degrees back in 2015. Really not that long ago. 10 years ago. 10 years ago, it was this warm. But 76 will now stand as the new record high for today, December 28th. That is 29 degrees warmer than the normal high of 47. That's what I was just talking about. 47, that's where we're supposed to be for a high temperature. And look at the low of 65. I put a little asterisk there as well because it is the record warm low temperature for the day. In other words, we have not had as warm of a temperature for a low temperature for Bowling Green on this day. That 65 is the warmest low temperature for December 28th. So we set two records today. And of course, we've had no precipitation. Let's go back. I want to go back to the radar. And let me go back here. I'll hit this. And let's do an update on this before I go. And there you see the line looking a little more jagged, maybe. Let's go to the Paducah radar. Yeah, there's some little places that I can see where there's still enough wind energy. You see it bowing out there around Seabree, Then it's linear here west of Madisonville. Madisonville is about to get the strongest winds. And then, it's all really mostly linear. I don't see any big kinks in the line, just that one right there. And that's mostly where the wind is just pushing out ahead of the main line, and we call that a gust front. Lightning, there's one little lightning strike, and it's an old one because you just see it barely there. But I'm not seeing any lightning further south. So again, the best energy is north, up toward the Ohio River. And as this line continues to push east, then I think a lot of that best energy is going to stay maybe north, let's say north of the parkways, Bluegrass and Western Kentucky Parkway. I think that's where the best, if we want to call it potential energy, is going to be. And by the time that line gets here into the Bowling Green area and surrounding areas, I don't think it's going to be all that bad. And look, back to the west, we go from 71, 70, 71, 72 here in Bowling Green. Already Paducah has dropped to 56 that quickly. And back in Gage, Kentucky, look at this. Now, this should give you a little bit of, in far western Kentucky, not that far from Paducah, the temperature has dropped to 52 degrees. The winds are now coming out of the northwest at 11. And what do you see? You see them, well, you can't see the moon, but it's there lighting up the sky because the skies are beginning to clear. Right now, at 7:47 p.m. on Sunday night, that's what's happening in western Kentucky. And I just want to, I want to take this opportunity to say, and look, very little in the way of anything that looks like it could maybe cause a warning, like a severe thunderstorm warning. The current severe thunderstorm warning expires in 11 minutes for Callaway, Livingston, Marshall, Graves, and Lyon counties in western Kentucky. And the Benton area also expires in 11 minutes. That's for parts of Callaway, Livingston, Marshall, East Central, Graves, and Lyon. Again, around the Benton area. But that's it. Those are the only warnings, and they're severe thunderstorm warnings. And notice that the Weather Service has not added on to the tornado watch, nor have they issued a severe thunderstorm watch. I'm looking, and you can't see this, but I'm looking at the Weather Service. I'm in their chat room. I do not see anything that indicates adding a new watch of any kind. Nope. Nothing. Okay. See, that's good news. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not going to be maybe a warning that pops up somewhere. It could, but not, I just don't think it's going to be a tornado warning. So I'm just looking at a few more recent comments that have come in. Are we live right now? David? Well, I hope you are. I am. If you're not live right now, you're dead. Hey, I just got to kid around with you. Thank you, David. Um, so here's a if what is expected for the freezing temp of 32 um, in the morning, because it will get colder after this front passes through. There could be a few maybe icy spots, but I think the wind is going to take care of anything turning too icy tomorrow. And as far as getting any snow, I just don't see it. All this moisture is moving pretty quickly, and it will be out of here by the time the coldest air gets here. And notice behind the front, temperatures only drop close to the front in the 40s and 50s. And notice that the rain is gone very quickly as soon as this thing passes. So there's no moisture lingering back here behind it, behind the line. So I'm really not that concerned about icy spots or snow or anything. I mean, in the upper flow tomorrow, there could be that flurry or two, as I talked about, that could pass by, but I'm not seeing, I don't think, anything other than that. Here is a live Hazcam view in Litchfield, where it's 69 degrees. Winds are mostly west and, well, look at that, 16 miles per hour. It says northwest, but I think it's southwest. But the winds are breezy there in Litchfield. You've got a cloudy sky. It's warm. It's humid. The winds just now went up to 21. It goes back and forth, 19, 20, 21. But the front hasn't arrived at your place yet. But it'll be there very soon. So again, for those of you watching tonight, let me say a couple of things. You're going to get some gusty winds. Yes. You're going to get some gusty winds tonight. All right? I want you to understand that is just associated with that line of storms as it comes through. Okay? But it's not going to be a really dangerous situation. It's not going to be an up all night, pace the floor kind of a thing. This is not that. This is not like December of 2021. It is not. For those of you that didn't hear me say this at the beginning of the podcast, this is not going to be that. Chill. Take it easy. Go to bed. It's going to blow through here about 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock, and you'll hear the wind blowing things around for a few minutes, and then it's over. A little bit of rain, then it's over. Then you'll start to almost immediately, start to feel colder air coming in with the wind, because that's what's happening back to the west. And I proved it to you. I just showed it to you. So, yeah, that's all that's really going to happen tonight for us in the 270. Now, before I go, I want to say a word from our sponsor, R&R Controls, because you need a generator. Why? Well, the power could go out. Yes, your power could go out. But you know what? If you're a regular viewer of this podcast or a regular viewer of me and Micah and Scott on News 40, how many times have we said, when the sun is out, that's when you need to prepare for the possibility of losing power during a storm, especially when it has to be, wind driven. Now, that means you have a flashlight, or, use the flashlight on your phone. But if your phone is not charged up, we always say before these events, you need to charge up your phone or your tablet, your devices, so that when the power goes off, you can still watch us or listen to us or whatever and keep up with the weather. But some of you just don't listen, and yes, I am getting a little, I'm getting onto you just a little, but please don't take offense. Somebody needs to say this, and it's going to be me because I love you. I don't care if I don't know you, I love you. And because I love you, I'm telling you the cold, hard truth. Getting a generator, yes, great thing, but I know some of you can't do it. But you should never wait until moments like this before a storm hits to think about or worry about if the power is going to go off and then okay, well, where's the flashlight? Where's the flashlight? Where's the candles? Where oh oh no. Well, I've got a flashlight on my phone, but the phone's dead. Now what are we going to do? See, my audience should never go there because you should know better. Because I've told you over and over and over again, be prepared. And I've even told you how to prepare. But this night is not going to be one of those nights where you've got to be up all night and pacing the floor. It is not going to be that. But still, use like the News 40 app, the News 40 weather app, to stay up to date on what's going on. And you can hit the radar. And there it is, the radar. Wait a minute. It's not wanting to show up. But anyway, it's a radar. But anyway, it'll give you warnings. Okay. I'm just telling you, you need to have this stuff before the bad weather comes in. But there's another way. If the power goes off, you can just keep going. And that's with a Generac generator from R&R Controls. They can come out, take a look at what you need, how big of a generator you're going to need for your house or for your business. Now, if you own a business, big or small, you know that it's going to cost you money when the power goes off because you don't know how long the power is going to be off. But if you have a Generac generator, within about 5 seconds from the time your power goes off, the Generac generator comes on. And it's just, okay, everything's still running. Let's go. Wouldn't that be nice? And here's the thing. R&R Controls will help you with financing a generator, big or small, doesn't matter. So tomorrow you need to give them a call or hit them up on their website, rnrhvac.com, or you can also go to rnrcontrols.com. That's their two websites. They have a Facebook page as well. But I recommend you call the number, which is 270-777-2024. Very easy number to call. R&R Controls is there because you'll never be without power, heating, cooling, ventilation, all of that they do. And they've been doing the HVAC stuff for over 40 years. So those are the people you need to trust. You need to give them a call and just get something set up and get prepared for the next time the weather gets bad. And then you won't have to worry about it. Okay, that's it. It's 8:00. It's time for me to go to bed. And yes, I am going to bed because there's nothing for me to stay up for. That line that's still coming in is weakening. It's going to blow a little bit for a few minutes and then it's over and then the cold air comes in. I'm not worried about tornadoes. I'm not worried about any of that stuff. So you guys, you'll know when the cold front arrives at your house because you'll hear it against the windows and against the walls. You may lose a shingle or two off your roof. Power may flicker or go off for a little bit, depending on what happens with that. But then it'll be over. This is why I hate the hype. This is why I hate, and I've even seen in the comments tonight, some of you are like, well, so-and-so said it was going to be really, really bad. When are you going to stop listening to them? Because most of the time they're wrong. Most of the time they're just trying to get you worried for clicks, likes, and shares. And they get paid to do it. So just have your phone, get the News 40 weather app on your phone, download it. It's free, and you can follow along with the radar, and you can see if any warnings do come out, which I don't foresee that. You'll be just fine, and you'll be able to monitor what's going to happen as that front comes through your place. Okay? God bless you all. Thank you for watching. And when I say I love you, I mean it. Even though I don't know most of you, you know me, but I love you. And that's why I do kind of sometimes I get on to you. We got to be prepared. You got to do a better job of being prepared. Okay. I will see you, most of you, if you can watch in the morning, 6 a.m. I will be on News 40 Sunrise on WNKY Channel 40. And we have a CBS and NBC channel. You can watch me on either one. 6 a.m. That's right, live, 6 a.m. in the morning. I got to go to bed now, though, in order to get up at 3. But I love mornings, so it's not a big deal. I'm on at 6, then I'm on again at 9, then I'm on again at noon. And I will be showing you just how cold it is going to be. Have a good evening, good night, God bless.